Good evening. Figured I'd jump on here 5 minutes early. I know everybody's gonna ask me about the baby. Still no baby. And I'm gonna pull up the chat here. See if anybody comes on tonight. How y'all doing tonight? Hey, Denise Becker, how you doing? Jean Almeida from Brazil. Good to have you on tonight. If anybody has any investing questions or investing topics of discussion, you can put them in all capitals. There's still no baby. We're on baby watch. Corey Wassel, hopefully homesteader from Florida. Yeah, so I figured since my wife's not having contractions, and we've been kind of waiting here. We're in limbo, holding a circular pattern. I don't know. I guess I'm going to be going to work tomorrow. I was kind of hoping on having the week off, but looks like back to making the donuts. I'll give a couple, 3 more minutes for anybody else that wants to get on. I've been keep getting investing questions. If anybody has any investing questions, you can put it in the comments. Bumblebee, good evening. And for whatever reason, when I broadcast from the bedroom, I get a better signal. So, and it's much quieter out there because there's a whole lot of stuff going on there. So it kind of works out night too. Hey, Althea Nichols. Good evening. How you doing? It's always good having Althea on. Yep. Yes, there's still no baby. Some friends of ours, I bought them some. We'll see. We'll see. Betcha. I love the NSA. You don't think the AI can read that? Typical male. Yep. Yeah. Let's see. Sissy was late. Sissy was a week late. The only one that was early was Junior. Everybody else was late. So, old Junior. I think Junior came 5 days early, whatever that means. So, yeah. So I've been talking a lot. Yeah, we can't wait. We are anxious to see the little man. He is just taking his good old time. Old Rufus, he was like 2 weeks late. He just wasn't even. We didn't think he was ever going to come out. That kid. But been talking a lot this week about investing and with some different folks that are considering not just relocation but just life changes. And I think one of the main problems with investing, well, because of the way society is so synthetic and synthesized, and we're stacked in buildings and Agenda 31, and we need commerce centers, and we need high rises, and you need trash removal and all these different synthetic elements to make life work in a non organic environment like a city. We look at investing the same exact way. Instead of investing is actually part of our life. It's not this separate component that like sits over here on a shelf and I invest 10% a week, or I invest X, or any extra I invest over here. But if investing is a lifestyle, and when you say something like that, well, what do you mean? And that's how it is completely unrelated to the stock market, because once again, the stock market is a synthetic infrastructure. Really, in my opinion, well, not in my opinion, but by sheer observation, the stock market is redistribution of wealth. And I know a lot of capitalists may or may not like to see it like that, and I am totally a free market capitalist. But I think originally, conceptually, the stock market may or may not have been a good idea, but it's a really bad idea now, and and we'll see how that works. But the only reason the stock market is a bad idea is because of government intervention. And for anybody that's, we don't have to, it's kind of hard to not talk politics when you start talking about money and investing, because everything about politics directly affects money and investing, and what is money and what is currency, and why we don't have a hardback currency with real commodities. But for anybody that's still Republican or Democrat and all that stuff, I do encourage you to consider libertarian ideas and Austrian economics when it comes to economics and the life cycle of money. It's really interesting if you listen to libertarians, and a lot, us as homesteaders, some of us that homestead, we all talk about what is homesteading, and in libertarian circles they always reference homesteading. And what homesteading is in libertarian thought is homesteading is raw land that you inject sweat equity, and there is a return on your labor, and that's what a homestead is. And when you look at the homestead laws and the 1800s, and where they would give you land, I mean, that was the whole purpose of it. The whole purpose was, we're going to give you raw land to see what you can do with it. And where can I buy some of those meat chickens? Asks Meat Chickens, wants to know where you can buy some of those meat chickens. Not sure. I forget where we bought our meat chickens, but we didn't call our meat chickens. We just let them run around, and they've been going broody and raising more chickens, except for when the fire ants. This time of year, the fire ants get the chicks real bad, so it's hard to get them relocated in a spot where the fire ants don't get them. But there's a well, don't want to get off topic, but the video's not rolling good, because I'm getting, it's looking good on my end, and it's how's the sound? But the stream on my end looks great. But yeah, let me know how the audio sound is. Great. Okay, cool. But yeah, I definitely. Oh, you're in West Texas. All right, man. Well, hello, neighbor. Yeah, West Texas is tumbleweeds and oil jacks and stuff like that. But yeah, we've had a different friends of ours that are relocating, and some of them are relocating down here. When you consider your entire investment strategy, you have to consider, what the mainstream guys want to tell you is, they want to tell you, well, you're obviously going to stay where you're at, and then you just deal with all the issues at hand. And, well, if you want a higher rate of return, you tweak your asset allocation, and maybe a little more international, maybe a little more emerging markets, and that those type of aspects. But when investing is part of your life and lifestyle, literally, when you think about it, everything becomes an investment. I mean, our children are an investment. Educating and training our children are an investment. I'll give you a perfect example. I've never been, even when I was in financial planning, especially when I was in financial planning, I was never under the delusion or illusion that I would ever retire because in we because of un should you invest in fireworks? Fireworks are an unsound investment, and there's a really large markup on fireworks. but I was never under the delusion thinking that I would retire. Just by sheer definition, the Nazis were the first ones to implement retirement. What's the best way to start my own small engine repair business? The best way to start a business is part time, and I was talking to another friend this week about that. Is you get your money maker, you get your income production, whether it's an hourly job or whatever, and you get a schedule where you can do your startup part time. One, until you see if it will be financially viable, or two, until you grow it so that it is financially viable. Our friends at Heartway Farms, he's got a really good, well paying job, and his desire is to transition from his quote unquote day job into homestead and different. So he is slowly acquiring. They just acquired some dairy cows. Prior to that, he did an awesome deal with some blueberry bushes, and he's doing that on the side, while he's working his day job, because his day job pays all the bills, gives him some bankroll to make moves. And so the best way to start a small business is on the side. The internet gives you the power of advertising for it. Um, the kids and the wife are out in the living room. I trim my neck beard. I don't have a neck beard. See, it's you know, I don't grow it real. Well, whatever. I don't want to get distracted here. Yeah, the wife and the kids are in the rest of the house. I'm back here cloistered in the bedroom where it's rather quiet. It's rather noisy in the rest of the house. But when investing is part of your life, like for example retirement, I've never been under the delusion that I'm going to retire. And as a community and as a society, prior to the fabrication of Social Security, which was just another reallocation socialist program, an unsustainable socialist program. When did those folks retire? They didn't, and there was still people that accumulated wealth, but the concept of retirement kind of doesn't even make sense, nor is it financially viable. So that's why you raise and care for your children, so that when you need somebody to take care of you, they can take care of you. And that is the fruit 401k is in jeopardy with one natural disaster. Well, yeah, I guess it would depend on what natural disaster, but if a natural disaster was that large to affect your orchard or whatever you got going on, you have way bigger problems. Um, you have way bigger issues than worrying about retirement, gold, silver, or anything. If what you have gets annihilated by a natural disaster, then you have way bigger problems. And investing in fruit trees and everything will be the least of your problem. So, we could always argue from extremes, but you never argue from extremes. You always look at the mean and the center of the bell curve, and that's where you plan. You plan off the center of the bell curve. You make your decisions off the center of the bell curve. You always ignore the extremes, because only irrational people argue from, and that's how the whole left and right paradigm work. And, what about the legless little kid with no arms and no teeth that, yeah, that, I mean, how about let's implement things in society that apply to the majority of people? A business continuity plan. Um, well, you should always have plan A, plan B, plan C. You should always have multiple options. But you do when you have redundancy, eventually you can only plan for so much. So, you know, and there becomes a point in redundancy with investing that you're losing capital by being redundant. So there's a loss of opportunity there as well if you're too redundant. Right. And you should be able to, yeah, you should always be able to, that's the whole point of propagation, and that's the whole point of what I'm trying to do. And what we're trying to do is we're not just investing in our infrastructure and in our trees and in our animals. We're investing in our children, and we want to keep the we want to keep the we want to keep the hearts of our children so that they want to stick around and they want to help us, and we're going to develop businesses for them. Like for right now, Goob, I think we might want to raise dairy cows, and now that we know honey's A2, and we got these really good bloodlines with this Normandy, we're breeding her, and we might start to develop that. So that's kind of, that's all part of the investment strategy. And and that's also where community comes in, barter. Here in our community, and our community's kind of spread out. Everybody's got a lot of room. Wow, we have a bigger jokester than me on your name. Cows and gym equipment, huh? But wow, I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, with investing, if we're investing in, we're investing in our children's future, in businesses for them and what they do moving forward, and we will continue to grow our children and help them grow their businesses. And in our community, there's barter. So we want to grow our community and grow our community relationships. We just bought what was it, like 400 pounds of grass fed from our neighbor, and yes, having a farm does negate the need for gym equipment. Yeah, Justin Rhodes calls it Earth Gym, right, or something like that. Okay, any idea for acquiring land on a limited budget? I will tell you exactly what I would do, and that it's the same way that we acquired our property. Is you find the area where you want the property, and you start asking in that area if there's any property for sale. Just today, I was driving down the road, and this little tiny sign caught my eye, and it said for sale, and it was kind of hidden back in there, and it was this little crummy sign, and it had a phone number on it, and it even said owner finance, and it was like an acre and a half, and friends of ours are looking for land, and I took a picture of it and sent them the number. And that's how, in rural areas like we are in, it is very easy, especially with raw land, to find owner finance deals. One, banks don't like raw land, and so it's a challenge to get bank finance raw land. And most of the time, the only time banks will finance raw land if there's a building loan rolled into it. So raw land is undeveloped land, land that doesn't have a house on it or whatever. Um, no, we didn't use a real. The property, the 25 acres that we bought was not even on the market. We started asking around, and my neighbor said, I got a buddy, and I think he wants to sell his property. And he set up in a meeting. We looked at it, and I said, I want it. And I said, how much you want for it? And he said, this is how much I want for it. And then I said, well, it's sold, and we closed in like, well, we had to wait for the title clear. We could have closed like in 3 days, but we had to wait for the title clear. So chickens are an incredible investment. Yeah, because they're just so easy to. We're in the process of paying as much as we can, but in the meantime, trying to find land share opportunities, etc. Yeah, and that's exactly, it's like me and my buddy were talking about today. Even though this is 1 acre over here, if that could just be your jumping off point, just like when we bought this property, we had X amount of cash, and we wanted more land. This house has 5.5 acres. It's surrounded by land. We attempted to put in offers on the land around us. None of that panned out. But you just wait for your next opportunity, and you save, and you trim your budget as low as possible. You save as much as you can to stack as much cash as possible, or barter or whatever. To procure land, and it just happened that it all just happened. My full-time job is I'm in construction sales, and it's kind of weird. I invest 10% in infrastructure a week, and I save everything. When we first moved down here, our first year, I did not make that much money. We made enough to exist. I didn't save anything because we were surviving. Right now, fortunately and unfortunately, we probably live at double that budget. So we could save a lot more, but that's all part of your investment plan and your investment strategy, and you got to look at it. You got to enjoy life too. And it's depending on where you're at, and it's depending on what your goal is. I mean, we've been hitting our goals. So if we weren't hitting our goals, we'd tighten the belt and become more focused. But we've been hitting our goals. We're certainly not wasting money, but at the same time, Andy Fishburne, you're a carpenter. Well, that's awesome, man. That is a great skill and a trade, and you can kind of convert that into whatever you need, man. And you can. I don't play any sports now. I am fully invested into um, my kids and my family, so I don't play. I don't play any sports. Yeah. Well, when I say I'm in construction sales, I'm not in construction material sales, but I sell construction services is what I do. So roofing, residential, commercial, kitchens, bathrooms, and all that kind of stuff. So I hire people like you, Andy, that know what they're doing to come in and frame stuff up and all that. I used to play a lot of tennis, and I used to be a meathead and like a power lifter kind of, because I was always a lightweight. I graduated high school at 135, and I always enjoyed, weight training, and still do. I do all that stuff to try to keep up with my kids, and it is, one investment is in yourself, and you got to stay as healthy as you can and as fit as you can for as long as you can, so you can be as productive as you can. So that's all part of investing too. Investing in yourself. You know, if you eat yourself into being 500 pounds and having diabetes and, heart failure and all that stuff, that's doesn't, this guy. Can you focus, meat chickens? I'll put you in timeout, man. You keep distracting me. All right. Um, but yeah, so I don't know if anybody had any type of investing questions, any type of uh, investing topics that you wanted to. I used to order scale out. Yeah, I did that too. You turned 30 last year. Wow. Yeah, I hit the wall at 35. That's when I started gaining weight. I have all kinds of thoughts on solar. I acquired a 9800-watt system through a job we did, and predominantly my opinion of solar is it's relatively a scam, only because of government subsidy, because the government subsidy drives up the price. And now, if you're an electrical expert and an electrical kind of nerd, or if you're really good at figuring that kind of stuff out and you do it all yourself, and in my opinion, if you can do it without attaching it to a roofing structure like your home, because the unassociated cost with solar and being in the construction industry, and my parents' house has solar on it, their roof's leaking. My brother's house has solar on it, their roof is leaking. And one unintended cost of solar that they never discuss or consider is when you need to replace that roof, it's 50 cents a kilowatt off and on. So if you have 10,000 kilowatts on your roof, it's 5,000 off and 5,000 on. Then what's going to happen is, well, technology's changed, the panel's old, so if we're going to take this off, we might as well upgrade it, and then you hit the reset button on your system again. So in my opinion, I've run into 4 commercial jobs now where the roof's leaking everywhere and the solar's got to come off, but it's an additional 35 grand in cost to take this solar system off and on, and the building owners are like, wait a minute, I never thought about that. So, my husband wanted to ask you, how did you know where God wanted you to move your family? We are sensing North Carolina. We just did a lot of research and we had major priorities. One was taxation. Okay, the priorities go like this: homeschool laws have to be good. Land has to be relatively cheap. You want a halfway decent economy. You want relatively decent tax laws, and you want non-invasive building laws. And those are probably like the top 5. I could probably, break it out a little bit more than that. But, Texas was at the top of the list because of their favorable homeschool laws, because of their Second Amendment laws. Now, there's states not with better homeschool laws. Texas is pretty elite when it comes to homeschool. There's states with better 2A laws. There's states with better, less restrictive taxes than Texas. But we can leverage the property tax. In my opinion, is relatively high, but you can counteract it with ag exemption, which you're getting the government involved, and there's always strings with that. But the homestead laws are great. The property protection laws are great. The permits, and there's not a lot of government intervention when it comes to building and different things like that. So that's kind of how. Eric, laid up in bed. Whoa. Yeah, man, we praying for you, dude. Yeah, I know it hurt. I was doing straight leg deadlifts and I like blew out my hip tendon, and it's been messing me up for 3 weeks, and I was pretty wiped out there for about a week. So I can relate with that a little bit, man. So your kids are grown. You know, I'm just such a Texas. I'm, and we've been to a lot of states, so, but I'm just enamored with Texas, because once you get here, the community, one, it's the gun culture. I was talking to a friend yesterday about the gun culture. And gun culture is very good. I'm in lots of residential homes. There's guns everywhere. Yo, Rick, don't be tardy, man. We're talking about gun culture, Rick. And, that's huge. That's really important, the gun culture. And Desert Angel Homestead in Arizona. Now, there's a state that has gun laws. A letter from Arizona. So, would you advise not to put the solar panels on the roof of your house? Correct. I would absolutely, and they'll tell you that these new roof mounts are better and they won't leak and the cost has come down. Baloney, baloney. No, everywhere I've ever looked at them, they leak. And even if the roof mounts don't leak, if the roof mounts don't leak, a part of your roof that's under the panel will leak. As a matter of fact, I looked at a really, really large, big, expensive house, 12-12 pitch. They just had solar installed, and it leaked everywhere, and it created tons of damage. And then the solar company wanted me to prove that his mounts were leaking. And, long story, but everything... Tennessee has terrible homeschool laws. Kentucky, I'm not sure. A conservative part of Colorado, I would definitely get out of Colorado. Denver just passed a law requiring all flat roofing to be green. So they just quintupled the price of commercial flat roofing because they're going to require you to have a green roof.
Why?
Because they're insane, tree-hugging crazies. Oh, man. Soft tissue damage, man. Hey, Eric, look into Arrosti. 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 That's what because my shoulder was all soft tissue. And with 4 treatments, the pain's gone. I'm still rehabbing it. But it was jacked up for 4 years, and Arrosti fixed it. So with soft tissue, man, I definitely recommend Arrosti. Let's see here. So yeah, when it comes to solar, do not put it on your living structure. You can put it anywhere else, but Florida is just all the retired tri-state, northeasterners, and it's just repackaged. Ugh, and it's heaven's waiting room. Florida's terrible, and I've had family in Florida, and have lots of friends in Florida. Okay. Arrosti. 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 And if you search for it, you'll find it. Arrosti originated, I think, in the Austin area. And it's chiropractors, practitioners, and they do basically soft tissue manipulation. But it's way different than deep tissue massage. The live stream is about investing. We're on the western slope, very comparative to them. Well, yeah. Yeah, and I don't blame you. I mean, I think Colorado is going to tax the junk out of you. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I just had a friend move down here from Seattle. And he just moved on a wing and a prayer. And he got here, and it's really interesting like what he's doing for work. But the main thing when it comes to work is if you're a motivated individual and you show up every day and you're not a crackhead, you can make good enough money until you find out what you really want to do, and you can provide for yourself and your family. And there's no state income tax in Texas, so I would definitely move to a state that doesn't have state income tax. The Fed's the Fed, and that's the Fed's everywhere. So, all right, me chickens. Have a good night, sir. The next live stream might be stinking crackheads. It's the crackheads every time. Well, actually, I'm a why am I a '90s child? I graduated high school in '94, but it's meth heads now, I guess. When I was growing up, it was crackheads, but I guess now it's meth heads if I want to get with the times and all. But the next live stream might be Saturday. Depends on when Texas Mom has the baby. I think that silver is a great investment buy. I buy junk silver, pre 64 currency. It's a great buy. If you look at it compared to gold and because of its commercial use, I think that it's incredibly undervalued, and you know, they're fidgeting with the paper and keeping the value down. Yeah, and they are moving to states like Texas. They're here, and hopefully, we can just fend them off as long as possible. And then I'm going to build a wall around my property, and no, I don't know what I'm going to do. Yep. Yeah, Rosanna lives in Seattle. Housing costs are crazy high. Taxes are crazy high. And when you have a posterity, when you have children, you know, how are you going? What are you going to do for the next generation? You're basically birthing them into slavery because there is no opportunity. Just like people in California that have kids, and you have this artificially inflated um, housing market that will crash. But how are they supposed to ever buy anything and not be in debt forever? Yeah, I really like silver a lot. I like gold. It's just the large face value of it when it comes to the time of actually using it as a tender. I don't see it as being as realistic, as easily usable. When the year ends, silver could be right where it is right now. They've been manipulating it so long. Whenever the manipulation stops, it will never be worth nothing. No, whenever the manipulation stops, it will skyrocket. All right, Allison, thank you. Yeah, Volkswagens or silver? Silver. I don't know how that benefits anybody. Jeremy Davis. All right. Oh, I don't think, when you start considering at numismatic value, in the event of any type of currency collapse, I believe that anumismatic value will be relative, because anumismatic value is only relative to a collector versus a real currency. Was it easy to find like-minded people? There is. Um, the dogs are always barking, but they're doing their job. So, it's not easy. When you're in the country and you're in the South, it, country people are just good people, and so they're easier to find. They're still pretty mainstream and still plugged in, and still part of the Hegelian dialectic, though. But they're still good people. So, yeah, absolutely. Investing in your family is because it'll pay huge dividends and huge returns. The boys take care of everything around here, so we invest in them. We get them, and they invest in themselves, and they take their money. And all right, me chickens, peace out. think this is the first time you've ever been on. You kind of monopolized the thread, though, meat chickens. All right? Let's not be foolish next time. I don't have to put you in timeout. All right, man. Have a good night. From West Texas. You're forgiven, meat chickens. See, a lot of people think Texas dad is like this mean, angry guy, but I'm a pretty easygoing guy. Yeah, finding like-minded people is there's corporal punishment does work better than timeouts, but I'm not going to talk about that on social media. uh, and I don't know where Meat Chickens is, so I can thump him. No, that wasn't a threat, Meat Chickens. I love you too, man. I have no idea who you are. For all I know, you're an AI bot. I don't even know if you're real, man. It is, it's very hard to find completely like-minded folk, so you just you loosely align yourself where you are compatible ideologically. The reality is, there's a lot of people that think they're exactly like us, and then they meet us and they're like, oh wow, we're nothing like you. And that's okay too, you know what I mean? It's like we don't hate them or anything, man. It's like um all right, meat chickens. I thought you were leaving, man. We have some foods. We had before we moved, and that was an incredible blessing because when we did move, um, we used that food storage to live off of. So food storage is all about, it's not about the apocalypse. It's not about anything. It's about any type of downturn just in your life. I mean, there wasn't an economic downturn when we moved. Well, there was a personal economic downturn when we moved because. All right, so the old Verizon put me on the smackdown there. It's very bizarre when people think you're weird that you want to grow your own food. You're presuming that you're always going to be able to go to the store and buy food, which is very anti-biblical when you think about it. Me and TM have been talking a lot about this lately, and the part of the curse was Adam was to till the ground and by the sweat of his brow raise his own food, and that's not just an allegory, man. There's so much truth there, and it's so real now. And with all the Franken food, and as it was in the days of Noah, it's gonna keep kicking me off, y'all. Okay, you say people don't take to you, but my husband. Okay, looking into homesteading conferences as well. Yeah, homesteading conferences are great. We haven't. We've been to Mother Earth. We haven't been to any homesteading conferences yet. If Texas Mom would stop having babies, we'd probably eventually go to one. But did you know that they line dry clothes exclusively in Japan? That there are no clothes dryers in Japan. I just found that out. I thought that was very interesting. The government's kicking you off. It's so weird how that happens, but we're investing. Yeah, when they decide to either kill my bandwidth or my unlimited data, it just like it goes bye bye. All right, Eric. Good seeing you, man. Yo, check out that Arasti, man. I'm telling you, bro. Thanks for stopping in, though, dude. Appreciate it, man. Good seeing you. Let me know. It's a dirt dragon. Is that like a vacuum cleaner? Oh, no, that's Dirt Devil. My bad. I got. Okay. How do you get started investing? You're going to be mortgage free and you're getting a homestead. Invest in your homestead. It's not. It's going to return huge dividends. Don't worry about making sure you have silver coins and all that stuff. Um, invest in your kids. Invest in your homestead. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's going to let me stay on, y'all, or. Yeah, this unlimited data thing is so that it doesn't do this. Yeah, I'm supposed to have unlimited to kill it, and so that's why it's buffering because it's actually kicking me off, and then I gotta reconnect and all that stuff. Um, we went to a homeschool conference. You're gonna find some people there. We inadvertently met great friends there, but yeah, and like Andy was saying about the family, we have a good relationship with our family, but if you interview them, they probably all think we're nuts, and that's okay. The proof's in the pudding, though. I think they learn to appreciate what they're doing as they see. That sounds awesome. I'm gonna check in Arkansas. Listen to Joel Salatin. I was actually at Mother Earth News the one year he was there. All right, Rick. See you, man. Actually, and I didn't get to catch Ellie. Um, yeah, so if it lets me stay on, we can stay on here for a couple more minutes and chat. And if it kicks me off one more time, I'll just type it in the chat.